Right, good afternoon, students. That 35, quite okay, expected. So, if some of you like to study offline after class, it's okay also. You can sign the offline form, right? So I expected today is a holiday, right? Both in China and Malaysia. So, but we still carry on. I think it's okay because since it's an online class, right? Okay, let's start. Before that, happy holidays, and for those who are celebrating the Malay Muslim Selamat Hari Raya, right? I don't think so, right? I don't think our class have Muslim. Not too sure. Maybe some of you. So just celebrate. Wish you a Selamat Hari Raya for Muslim. Okay, let's start. All right. Before we start, our focus is quite sharp today, So today we are going to just focus on user input control. I promise you it's a holiday, so I wouldn't hold you too long, right? And for a long session, we focus on doing user input, right? So far we have learned quite a lot on edit text, right? Last week we did the input form for registration and also for login, right? So login registration. This is the most common kinds of input, right? Edit text is to capture text input. And there are actually other kinds of input that you also have to know because based on your mockup, right? Okay, I'll come to that assignment later. Okay, mockup. Right, some of you still also have other forms that you want to get some user input in the form of numbers, right? You know that if you ask the user to key in free text for numbers, user tend to actually make mistake. So actually in edit text there are specific kind of input type that you can set, right, to only capture numbers. For example, for phone number, right? But that is not the most ideal kinds of input control for numbers, right? Sometimes you want the numbers to be in a range. Let's say age, right? You want people to key in their age between a range. There are other types of input control that you can use, like number picker, sig bar, for example. And then choices, right? There are times when users want to make choices. You don't want them to key in free text. You just want them to, you want to limit the choice, right? Just a few different values. For example, what is that? Gender, right? Sometimes you want user to key in to choose a gender, male, female, only two choice. You can either use drop-down list in that case, right? Only two choice, which is spinner. In Android, it's called spinner. Or you can also use radio button. Radio button is, I think you know, those who do web, right? Also, you know about radio button. But the way to do radio button is not so trivial in Android compared to web. And then you can also, if there are multiple choices needed to be done in Android, right? User have to choose more than one. You have a few choice, but more than one, then checkbox is the choice, right? Yeah, also very common use case where user want to pick a date and a time. For example, they want to tell you, they want to input their date of birth, right? Date of birth. And also maybe they want to pick the start time, end time. Sometimes you want to do a system. They want the user to choose a start time, right, or an end time for the activity that they do. Then you might want to use a date picker instead of asking the user to key in the date, right, using free text, right? Because date format in different country have different way to do. So it might be more right, better way to ask user to click a date, right, or a time. So we are going to try to do that later. And also there are possibility where there are sometimes there is also switches, or we call it toggle button. These two actually work the same, right? For example, on setting, you want to do a UI, user interface for user to do setting. Yes, no, true, false, on, off, right? On, off, enable, disable. Only two possibility of outcome, whether it's on, whether it's off, whether it's yes, whether it's no, or enabled or disabled, then you can use a switch. And last but not the least, the one that we have learned, all of this, right? You want the confirmation, right? So normally this is called confirmation, right? Before users submit, right? They cannot, the data is not entered into database. So we need to have a control, user input control for user to confirm the action, right? Okay, yes, okay, yes, or submit, right? That kind of action we use button, right? So this will be our focus. Okay, back to the assignment. I think I forgot about the assignment, right? Thank you for your submission. I'm still in the process of looking through your assignment. So please give me more time, right? Only the day before, Sunday, was the deadline, right? All of you submitted on Saturday and Sunday. And let me go to that. Okay, always check on Moodle, right? All the announcement, latest update, and so on, I'll put on Moodle. Right, assignment 1 done. Right, due already. So let me edit this. Right, assignment 1 done. Submitted. Right, so the next deadline, right, that we have is assignment 2. Right, assignment 2, Monday. Tentatively, the deadline is quite long from now, is more than 1 month, which is on the 6th of June. Right, it's a Monday also. Right, so today is week 6 already, week 6. So this is about another 4 weeks from now. 11, week 11, this is week 11. I've done a link and share with you on Moodle. You can see the submission link, right? If you click on it, you should be able to see, right, the submission date. Still got 34 days, until 6th of June. Okay, so assignment 1, you did a mock-up, right? So the difference is very clear. There are a lot of people ask before you submit assignment 1, is it really true just do a mock-up? Yes, right? But for assignment 2, right, you are going to make it into real Android app. Right, for assignment 2 is more on the user, whatever we learned, right, in the recent weeks. Right, assignment 2. The detail, you can read the assignment 2 question. Assignment 2 basically to convert, right, your image mockup, right, which is using Figma, Adobe, or other software, right, that you have done, right, it's a static image, right, static mockup into Android app, right? But for assignment 2, our focus is on the layout plus navigation, right? The design, right? Design, layout means design, right? And also resources, In Android project, you know, you can create button, you can create icon, you can create images, logo, and so on. So for Android assignment 2, we are going to focus on making it happen now. All the screen, different screen, whether you use an activity or you use a fragment to do, right? Either fragment or either activity, you have to do layout. Right, we have learned 2 layout, very main layout types: constraint layout, linear layout. Of course, you can use other kinds of layout depending on your purpose, right? So if you really need to learn additional one, that you can always consult me, right? We don't have time to teach each of these, right? You might have also want to use grid view or grid layout, in grid, so column and row. And we have also more more advanced layout like coordinator layout, right? All these layout you can use to do your design, right? Plus the resources, right? So what do I mean by resources? Resources are, for example, icons, images, right? Photos, or you can add into your design, and also color, right? Strings or string you can make into your project, string, color, and so on and so forth. Anything that is not source code, right? Anything that makes the cosmetic aspect of your layout of your user interface, that is considered resources, right? Or maybe menu, menu, you also have to do menu already, but there is navigation, so things like that, right? The second one, and last but not the least, navigation. Right, navigation, what is navigation? Navigation is to link, right, link the screens together, right? User can go from the main activity, the first screen, the default screen, and go to other screen, right? That would be navigation. Huh? So navigation, there are a lot. Huh? We haven't gone through it, so you have enough time because our assignment submission, assignment 2 is week 11, right? So you still have time to do that, huh? While you are going through the classes, right? After today, next week, most likely we are going to slowly get into navigation, huh? So we'll spend 3 weeks, around 2 to 3 weeks to do navigation. So what we have done one actually, which is using intent, right? From activity to activity navigation using intent. Huh? This is one way to do, right? When you want to navigate from one activity to the other activity. So intent, navigation. And then we also have using fragment. Between fragment is called fragment manager. And then using fragment transaction. So this is another. I don't have time to, I haven't taught this yet. Huh? We are going to come to that. Huh? So if you want to learn faster, you want to do it earlier, you can look for references for this. Actually, the Google developer website is the best reference for this fragment. And then we can also do, this one we have already done last week. And then we can also do navigation. Very important is I encourage you to use bottom navigation view. We are going to come to that, and then use option menu on the app bar. Right, on the app bar there, you can do an overflow menu. Right, overflow menu that is hidden, and then when people click on it, there's a list of option menu comes up. Right, option menu. You can also do something called navigation drawer. Right, the one sliding from the left to the right. Navigation drawer. Right, this is more complex. You need more space, right, to list out. If you have a lot of screen to go to, you have a lot of choices, then you can use navigation drawer. Not necessary for small app, right? Option menu is very useful, and these two are the most useful, most commonly used. And then last but not the least, you can also have something like view pager, right? Using tab, tab layout. You can have multiple tab to accommodate multiple screen. So there is another way to do navigation. So these few are the way. So we have learned this. So this will be part of your assignment 2. That is going to due on the 6th of June this year. Not that next year, this year. Okay. So okay, clear. Assignment 2. Right, what to do, right? Convert your mockup, static mockup that is done in Figma, Adobe in an image form to the real functioning, not the backend function. I'm talking about UI. UI function, the layout. You can click, you can go to another screen, things like that. So that is navigation. Right, any question for assignment 2? Right, it's important we start with the right direction. Right, today is just the first day of May, second day of May, right? After submission of assignment 1, we still have 1 month and 5 weeks, 1 month and 1 week to do assignment 2. So if you start with the right footing, right direction, right footing, then you should be able to do well, right? And finish it on time. Any question? Any question on assignment 2? Because there's quite some query on assignment 1 when they are not sure whether you need to do it in the Android Studio or not. So assignment 2 is going to be done in Android Studio, right? You don't submit a Figma file to me anymore, right? You create a project in Android Studio and start to work on it, right? Layout by layout, screen by screen. Okay, right? So you involve either activity or fragment, right? Fragment where I haven't taught. That's why as a beginning, maybe some of the screen you do it as activity first, like log in, like register. You have learned already, log in, register. You can start doing already. Log in, register. Okay, so let's start for our class today. Any question? Right, it's a bit hard for you to have a class on holiday, right? So bear with me. I don't want to drag too long for today's class. Let's start. Okay, can all of you start with a new project, a new Android project, Android Studio project? Just open out your Android Studio. It might take a while, right, to sync your project. So start with a new project. Start with a new project, and the project use Kotlin or Java also can, huh? Both doesn't matter. So I'll use Kotlin. I'll use Kotlin. So use Java also can. Huh? Okay, hold on. Please wait for a while. I'm also opening up my Android Studio. Right, Android Studio. Start a new project. Right, just start an empty project. Every time I ask you to start a new project, please assume it's actually an empty project. We don't need use any of the template. But when you are familiar already, you can choose to use any of the template, which makes your development faster. There'll be some boilerplate code, some bootstrap code that you can use. But for us to learn from basic, from the ground up, we learn using empty project. So start with an empty project. So we create user control, input control. Just name the project as user input control, example. So I'll bring you through the field that we haven't learned. Edit text, we won't touch again. Edit text, you know how to do already. Last week, we have done it using registration and login. So today, we are not going to touch user input control. We're not going to touch edit text, right? So we'll do others. So user input control example, Kotlin, or if you prefer Java, you choose Java. Right, so just use as default setting and save the project at your location, the right location. And let's start. Right, hold on a while, let it actually load first, load the project and sync the project. Okay, I would like to open another my sample. Right, so while it is syncing, you can make a coffee maybe. Okay, let's just wait. So you take a while to sync, right? Depending on your internet speed, right, and your computer speed. Okay, done for me. Not done yet. It's still syncing. You generate all the so-called the bootstrap file. We call it bootstrap file. Bootstrap means some template, basic template to start with. Normally, you start with an empty XML, right? We know, right? So this is the activity and the layout for the activity. We are going to use linear layout, right? Linear layout is simpler to arrange the user input control. But you can use other types of layout, doesn't matter. But for this class, we are going to use linear layout. Okay, let's just do a scroll view first. Scroll view. Right, do a scroll view. Right, delete the text view. Now we are not going to use any text view there. Right, and then change this to, I think no need the scroll view unless we really need it later. We put on scroll view. But for the start, we change this first. Linear layout. Right, so just make it linear and it is vertical. Right, the orientation vertical. Remember, linear layout must have an orientation. It's a compulsory attribute for a linear layout. So make it vertical. Linear layout. L capital, L capital. And change the default activity main layout to linear layout. Right, so it's an empty layout. Can are you ready? Are you ready? And then we will start one by one. One by one. Okay, let me go back to the previous mind map. right? My map, huh? So we are going to start this one. We are not going to do edit text. We did already, huh? So we are going to do something related to numbers, right? Among the two, zip bar is more suitable, right? It's smaller in size. Number picker is a bit bulky, quite large, right? So zip bar in Android is quite suitable for you to set control for user to choose a range of number, right? The suitable use case for zip bar can be age, right? Choosing age, umur in Malay, right? How old are you, right? So you want the user to tell you how old is he, how old is the user, right? So you can use a zip bar. So we are going to do a zip bar first. Okay, if you go to the layout, right, or on the design, right, layout. Okay, so where is zip bar? You can common. It's not common. Zip bar is not common, so you have to go down. Right, so look for zip bar. It's under. See, where is it? Here under widgets. Right, it's a kinds of widget. So it's under widgets category zip bar. You can drag. Zip bar. It's a linear layout, so you arrange accordingly. So when you drag a zip bar, right, zip bar, drag it into your layout, then you see a zip bar here. Right. So we just make the length to be match parent. If you don't want it to be so long, you make it wrap content also can. Wrap content. Give you an ID. The ID is given zip bar. Okay. Is it okay or not? Zip bar. Understand what a zip bar is, right? Okay. Let us set in the minimum and maximum. On zip bar, you can set the minimum, but it's not called minimum. It's called progress. The initial value is called progress. Progress. You start, let's say with age. We are going to change zip bar for age. We use age or year. Let's say you want the user to choose year. Also, you can use zip bar, right? We can, age is more common, more appropriate age. So we can use zip bar for 1 year old, right? Minimum is 1, right? Cannot be 0. 0 also can, age can be 0. Okay, let's put 0. And then the maximum, right? There is max. Max, let's say we assume human age can go at most at 120. So let's just set 120. Yeah, progress is the minimum, right? Progress is the minimum. Let me put in the comment. I'll give you the sample code later. No worry. Okay, so progress is the minimum. Max is the maximum. So it's a number in a range. So you can use a zip bar. It looks like this. If you look at the layout, right? It's just like something that you can drag. The number will change based on where you stop. When you stop at the bar, somewhere there is a number, right? So let's also put in a label here so that we know this is a zip bar. For cosmetic purpose, so we put in a plain text. A text view, sorry, text view. I put in a text view above it. Right, I just name it zip bar. Doesn't matter, I just want to have a label there, zip bar. Right, to label this is a zip bar. Zip bar. Right, today the cosmetic is not important. We don't make it very nice and things like that. If you want, you can, but I don't think we need to spend time on that. You can put in margin left and right. Right, maybe put in a margin like this, or we put the margin on the layout, on the linear layout, right? So that it applies to all. Just do it one time. Okay, so we put layout margin left. Margin start and left is the same, but left is more general. Both also apply. Just that start you can apply to, because the screen can be from left to right, right to left, right? So when you say left to right, then your start is left, right? Your end is actually right. But when you say your screen, you know left-hander, right-hander, right? So if you are a left-hander, right, the screen you design is actually sliding from right to left, right to left, right to left. If the orientation is from right to left, the screen, then your start is actually right, your end is actually left. So your start and end depends on the screen. The screen can be from left to right, mostly left to right, our app, our mobile phone, right? But in the case where you have right to left kind of screen, then your start is actually right, your end is actually left. But if you use left and right, then definitely left is left, right is right. Understand? So margin left and by default margin start is the same by default, but depending on the screen orientation. Okay, margin left, let's put in 10 dp, and margin right, so 10 dp. Just make it nicer, looks nicer. The purpose, right? Leave some space there. Okay, so next we have to go to the code. Right now we want to get the view, right? Get the view using Kotlin. Kotlin, remember, right? You want to make all the control universal, meaning global, right? You have to declare global variable. Let's use a variable called sigbar, right? Sigbar, just use the small letter, start with small letter, camel case. Camel case, we follow this camel case. Easier. If your ID is like this, you follow this, easier, right? So, okay, by default, right, it is this is a sigbar, right? So you have to declare the type. By default, you need to initialize it, right? All variables in Kotlin, you have to initialize, right? We initialize it to now. So import, if this class is not in your project, just import. Import the class. Import this now. You don't have to remember the class name, class package. Just right click and import. You actually, the tool will help you. Okay, see this now, so it is now, so you put a question mark. Remember when I teach you Kotlin, this is called now safety. Now safety. Right, so now once you have the variable, you can do it here, find the view by ID. There is another way to bind. This is called binding. To bind your layout view to your code, right? Another way called view binding. But today I'm not going to teach that. I'll just do the conventional way of using find view by ID first. So I'm not going to do view binding now. Maybe we have a class later, have time, then I can introduce you view binding. But this is the most traditional way. Right, just do it this way first. Okay, sigbar, right, and then sig ID, then the sigbar ID. Right, this one you must put in the, let me see, sigbar, what happened. If you see some error that you are not sure why, you just right click. Change it to variable. It cannot be val. Val cannot be changed, right? So you want to reassign the value, right? This is assigned to now, and then you reassign. You must make sure this is a variable. Cannot be val, right? It must be a variable. Cannot be a val. Variable, right? Sigbar equals to find view by ID. All right. Okay, so now we want to capture the value, right? When user select, right, something, you want to capture the value of the sigbar, right? So we just learn the basic. The rest is like when you want to apply to your project, right? It depends on your project. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, let me see the first of all. Okay, let's declare a variable to capture the value of the sigbar. So just declare a variable. Progress value or age. You can call it an age. right, which is integer, right? You can set it to 0, for example. Huh? Then we might want to get the value from there. Huh? Right, we need to declare a callback method, callback method for SIG bar. Right, so which is a listener, listener. So set on SIG bar change listener. Right, for SIG bar, this variable dot set. Right, you just type set on change. That's it. Oh, here, set on SIG bar change listener. Right, set on SIG bar change listener. Right, inside the SIG bar, you define what you want to do to capture the value. Right, so we need to override two callback methods. Okay, wait. Set on SIG bar. Okay, we need to add in this. Wait. Okay, so it should be like this. Should be like this. Here. Right. So enter. So this SIG bar dot set on SIG bar change listener. Right. If you cannot find it, you just type inside there. Set on SIG bar. I type in the chat. Right. Set on SIG bar change listener. When SIG bar is changed, and then enter here. Right. We want to type in the parameter. I put in what we want to do, right? Inside the bracket. Right inside the bracket. Can you follow? Right. Inside the bracket, put in a callback function, right? And declare an object. Right. So in Kotlin, the code looks a bit unusual, right? It's something like this. You put in object colon SIG bar class dot on SIG bar change listener, and then put in the curly bracket. Right, define the action within the curly bracket. Right, so you want to, it should be like this, So I see SIG bar set on SIG bar change listener object. Right, the in Kotlin, we want to, this is object is for static. You want to statically call the listener class SIG bar dot on SIG bar change listener and then the bracket. Okay. Okay, so inside that bracket, right, we are going to define a callback method called on progress change callback. All this you can get it from the documentation of Google Developer, right? But for today, I'll just give you quickly, right? So this value is your age value, this value that you want to capture. Let's say SIG bar is you want to capture value of age. So you just assign whatever value to the progress. This progress value will actually be returned right to your function. Your function can capture this progress value when user drag. When user drag, then this on progress change listener will be triggered. Will be triggered. So there is another callback method, right? Another two callback method that you have to put in for SIG bar. Right? For SIG bar, it is different than other so-called the control. Right? This is question mark. Please put in question mark because this is nullable. Nullable variable. It's a nullable variable, can be null. So when you have to use it, you have to put question mark. Right? So these are the three. If you want to use a SIG bar, you need to know, you need to capture the value when user drag. Right? Then this is on start tracking touch. As soon as user touch the SIG bar, this is not important for our case. Right? This is a starting point. Right? We just touch it and drag. So before the user drag, this is the trigger, the callback method that is triggered before, right? And this is the callback method that is triggered when user stop, right? And the progress is going on. On progress change is while user is dragging, while user is dragging. This is while the user before user start to drag the seat bar, and this is the last one after user has dragged and stopped, right? So on stop tracking touch. So this is the moment when you want to assign a value to get the value of age. Age is the value that user select, right, on your seat bar. So this is the last one. So in this case, we just try to log it, right? Log means you can print it. It's a utility function in Android. Android Studio utility function that for you to print a message to the logcat. Right, logcat is a terminal. It's a terminal for you to print, right? To print some message, to see some message, right? Terminal here, So there are some message that you can print to your terminal. This terminal will show all the runtime message. Runtime is a runtime message of your emulator. If you connect your emulator, you are running it on emulator. The logcat, logcat log, right? Print logcat logcat message. A log category, yes. Cat stands for category. Log category, logcat. So we print the logcat message. Right, logcat message, log cat, log category message to your terminal to see what happens. So for this case, we just put a key. Tag is actually a key. Because you got many runtime message, so you want to filter. So the key, the tag is for you to filter the message. So we print out the value that user select. When user stop dragging, then you see that value, what user actually select. So this is how you do. Okay, so let me give you this code. You can pass it into your own create method. So just put a section for seat bar. For number, select number, which is for age. Right, so I give you this part of the code. So there are three callback methods, remember, seat bar. Callback method that you need to override. Right, these are in super class. The super class is seat bar. These three callback method that you override, and then you write in what you want to do when it is drag and when it is stop, right? When finish dragging. So let's run this part of the code and test. Let's test it. It's running, so installing. First time will be slower. Let's wait for a while. Right. Any question for this of using a seat bar? Seat bar is for user to select a number. So it looks like this on the user interface. Right? This is the tag, and it looks like this. Cosmetically, it looks like this. So user can drag. Right? You start from the first value that you defined just now in the code. Right? If you put 0, then you start from the 0. Right? And then you end at 120, the maximum. Okay, so let's test it now. All right, so you see, let me maximize sit bar, right? So when you drag, right, you stop at somewhere, right? So, okay, so let's see the log cat. Just now I told you, right? Log cat, huh? Let's filter the log cat. Okay, how come cannot filter? Okay, choose the emulator that you want, emulator, huh? So I'm running this emulator pixel 5, right? So the process is your app. All right, please choose the right process, right runtime. This is a runtime that I'm running. And then filter by info, because just now in the code I put log. Right, print the message using log. I stands for info. So you choose info, filter. And this one sigbar tag, right? Because there are so many messages, so I filter by sigbar tag. Huh? So there is none there because it doesn't trigger yet. So I drag again. Okay, how come it doesn't work? Okay, let me the value is not printed here. Oh, okay, wrong process. I am choosing the wrong process. Not user input control example. It's not this one. I should go for user input control example. This one. Yes. Right, you see the message. Right, 93, 66, 97, 0, 68. Let's say I drag it to the 0. And then stop, 0. Right? If I drag it to the maximum, 120. When I stop, when I drag, nothing happened. I don't print. I don't print when I in the progress. When I'm progressing, I don't print. I only print when I stop tracking. Right? So when I stop tracking, you take the latest value. And let's say here. Right? So it's actually 34. So this is how you can use a sigbar for user to select a range of number. Normally integer, number which is integer. Right? Okay. Right? Okay, so let's move on to the next control. Do you have any question? You need this is called a callback listener. A listener, you need to set a listener for the sigbar. The listener is on sigbar change listener. Right? And then you define what do you want to do. Right? 3 callback method: on progress, on start, on stop. Right? This is for sigbar. Sigbar. Right? Are you okay? Right? Okay, next, let's put in a divider. We can do our own divider to divide the layout to different sections. Right? Let me just give you straight away the code for divider. Right, so let's say we want to divide the screen with using a line. I want to section it. You can do your own view. How we call it a view? Everything is a view. Sigbar is a view. Text view is a view. Right, so I can create a line right on the interface. You see a line, a gray color line between the sigbar and the next section. Right, let's say in your design of your layout, you want to do a section by section. So you have certain control in one section and then you want to put a line to separate them right into another section. You can create something called view yourself, and then the width you define. For me I put it match parent for the entire width, and then the height is just 1 dp. If you want it to look a bit thicker, you can put 2, 3 dp, 4 dp, doesn't matter. For this case, I want to make a thin line, right? A thin line, right? So I put 1 dp, right? And then I set some margin, right? Whether you want to put margin or not, it's up to you how you want to design. The margin on top, left, right, start and end, left and right. This is actually left and right and bottom, top. And then the background is you just put a color. Let's say you want it to look gray. You can use system color, right? This is how you actually set values from the system. A normal color is like you get the color from your values, right? If you want to get the color from your values, right? Color from your own resource, your project resource, right? You have color here, right? Predefined. But if you want to get the system color, you don't use color here. You use Android color. Android colon color. Right? So you can get some values from Android color, system color. Right? This one is dark gray is one. You have other kinds of, you can have background dark and so on. These are system related color from the color theme of the theme that you select. One of them is dark gray. So you can use dark gray. So we put a line in between. So let me give you this. So after the seed bar, let's just put a line, a divider. How we call it a divider? Let's put a divider there. So let me put in a command there. Divider. Put a divider. And after that, put another text view to represent this seed bar. I put it here. The command. So the text view, we are going to put another text view here. The next we are going to do is, let me show you for number picker. I'll give you sample code later after class. But for this one, we are not going to do two. We don't have time to do everyone. So I'll just, for picking number, all right, we have learned how to do seed bar. If you have time later, we can do number picker, but number picker, we leave it first. Let's do a simple switch now. Right, switch. It's a two-step on, off, enable, disable switch. Switch. Right, it's a simpler one we do first before we go for a short break. So seed bar done already, switch. Now we're going to do switch. Right, so this text view, right? So don't have to put ID so that it doesn't clash. Because this text view is just for cosmetic purpose. We call it switch. The switch, the current one, we do a switch here. So how to get the switch? You go to the palette, right? On the layout editor, design editor, layout design editor, switch. You want go to widget. It's not in under widget, seed bar here. Okay, let me search. Where is it? Under common, right in the layout palette, the design editor, common, switch. There's a switch. Just drag it. Right, drag it below your switch. So-called the text view. I think we don't need to put a text view because switch already got a label. I'll just remove it. Remove the text view. Right, switch. Drag a switch here. Right under your divider, below your divider. Right. So go to the code now. There's this switch. Go to the code now. Don't make it wrap parent, match parent. Better to be wrap content. Because switch normally doesn't have to span the whole screen. Switch. Right. So make it the ID, just use switch one. Doesn't matter. Use switch one. All right. The name, let's make it enable, disable, or on off. Write down on off. The label, this is just a label for the switch. On off. Okay. Can I do a switch? Okay, what is the purpose of a switch? Is to do on off. Yes, no, true, false, that kind of choice by the user. Right, we go to the code now. Right, now so let's just declare another variable called switch. Right, it's a switch. Right, and it is nullable again. Nullable. Import this switch class. Right, import. Just right click on the red color line. If you delete, you can always delete like that. Delete. Right, it's not found, and then import. Okay, switch. Right, so now inside the code, inside when the app, right, is first created, on create method, I told you last week, right, in all the life cycle. This is the life cycle activity, life cycle callback. for initialization normally, and binding the view. Right, normally we do this inside onCreate method. Right, last week we talked about that onCreate. Okay, here, let's start a section for switch. Right, switch inside the code. Right, just now we declare the variable, global variable switch. Switch. Right, you just declare like that. And then here, switch to find view by ID, you appear. And then the type is switch, right? And then our dot ID dot switch one. Right, this switch one is the ID. Just follow the ID. Right? And then what can we do to capture the value of a switch? Right, so the value of a switch, basically you just want to know whether the value is on or off. Right, so is in in Android, right? It is checked or unchecked. Right, the state is actually checked. It's two state, check or unchecked. So the states for a switch actually check or unchecked. So by default we can set it to check. We can set it to check. So switch dot set check equals to true. Let's say by default this one must have question mark, right? Question mark, because it is a nullable variable. Set check true. So by doing this, by default later when you run, you can see the switch is actually on by default. If you don't want, you put it false, which is not checked. It depends. So we can actually put true. All right, just to see the effect. All right, so let's add in normally the switch is not triggered when you select, right? But you can also put in a listener, right? Listener on state on, it's not on click. It's actually, we don't want it to on click. Let me see. Scroll change. But we don't want to trigger the switch changes. We don't want to actually every time the user choose and then you trigger something. For switch, the use case is different. For switch, the use case is you want to only trigger the value, you want to get the value of the switch when user click a button, for example. Right? It's a form. So user can on off, can keep toggle the switch until when they submit the button, then only you get the value. Right? So let's create a button here below it. Let's put a button below the switch. Right? So this button is going to be used to capture the value of the switch on off. So this button, drag a button there, right? So let's just the cosmetic doesn't matter. Just let it be looks like this. It's okay. So we are going to call this button, just call it button, the ID. Right, this one we call it submit. The value, the button, we call it submit button. So button, you know that we can do a listener. Right, we can, once you do the button, this button, you can drag and then you can grab a button quickly. All right, do a button. Right, we can do a button. Okay, now with a button, we want to get a listener to the button, right? So here, let's put button listener. The listener is a click listener. Button is to be clicked. So it's button. Okay, let's declare the button variable first. Button. Call it button. And this is button. Now, right, it's the same. Once you know how to do one, you can do the rest. So this is just to import. Right, import the class. Import the class. Right, so button. right? So this button, we do a listener to it. Set on click. Listener, don't memorize the spelling. I also cannot remember because the tool will help you. So always select from the menu, right? So when you click dot set, you know it's a click listener. Just type click set click. Okay, here this one. Set on click listener. Huh? So this button is a nullable variable. Again, put a question mark here. Huh? Question mark. Set on click listener. Okay, here. What do you do? Right. So let's check the switch status. Huh? We print a log. Again, we print a log. When button is clicked, log.i. Huh? Just like just now. Print a log message to the logcat. Huh? We want to check only. We don't want to do anything else, just to check the value, whether it's checked or not checked. Huh? So it's the switch. So let's just print with a tag called switch. Huh? We use a tag to filter the message, the logcat message. I put switch capital letter, comma, right? Switch dot check. Okay, so let's just put in a condition, huh? Check if switch dot is checked. This is the where you check the variable. Switch dot is checked. Right? Let me see. Equals to true. Huh? Is checked equals to true. Then we print. Right? Print a message. We just want to test. This is to test. We want to check whether the switch is checked or not. Right? If it's true, we print check. Not. We print not check. Right? Else, we print the message not check. Uncheck. Uncheck. Okay, just test. We want to test. So how to get the value of the switch? To use this variable is check. Right? The is check will return true or false because it's on off. So we have to use use the switch for the purpose of getting user input. The switch getting user input. Basically you want to know whether it's true or false. Right? So basically in the code you can capture the value of the true and false by using the switch variable and is check. Is check is a property of the switch. The value is either true or false. It's a boolean. Right? Boolean. But we don't trigger this switch using a listener for the switch itself, because switch, the purpose of using a switch is not always to, whenever user change the state of the switch, you want to trigger. No, right? What we want to do is only when user submit, right? Submit using button, then only at that moment we capture the value, right? So we can actually check whether the value is checked or not. So let's run again, test this part of the code. Right, so in the chat, the sample code, I always pass it to the sample, to the chat there, to the chat box. Okay, so let's test this one. So let's run it again. Okay, let's run it again, and we test whether the value of the switch can be captured or not. Right, please wait for a while. The grader is building, launching the app now. Okay, launch. Okay, so on off, right? Okay, when we submit, let's check the logcat first. Open the logcat at the bottom here, right? Info. So the filter now, I'm going to check the switch, not the tick bar. So I change the switch. Okay, so when I click, only you trigger. This is on, right? By default, it's on. Right? By default, I set it to true. Right? So it's on. So I submit. I click the submit. It doesn't trigger. Okay, let me see. Check. Set check true. Set on click listener. Lock switch. Okay, let me see. Why it's not trigger? Check why is it so not? On click listener, I think should be without this. No need this. Yeah. Why this one doesn't? Okay, I just ignore this. Should be without the true. Its check itself is already a state that will return this is Boolean. Yeah. Why is it not working? Not triggering. Supposed to work. Okay, it's check switch. Switch. We check again. Wait. Switch. It doesn't trigger. Weird, Okay, you can test on your side, see whether it doesn't trigger the message here. Okay, let me change it first, change the state. Okay, let me change it to false. Okay. Doesn't trigger, Switch. Oh, okay. I think, okay, let me remove the filter. Sometimes it's because our tag is wrong. Okay, it doesn't trigger. Okay. It's very straightforward. When button is clicked, the switch, check, then lock. Okay, let me try the other one just now. Sit bar. The sit bar is still working. I still trigger. Son, and click. Oh, it's a button that is not triggered. Button. Okay, let me put in a message. I just put in a lock here without the condition. Button. Right, button click. Let's test. This is how we debug. Right, debug whether the button, the listener is triggered or not. Let me check. Run again. If the button is triggered, then something is wrong with this. But it should be like this, supposedly. But I don't know why it doesn't allow this to. Right, let's run again. All right, let me submit again. The button is not triggered. The button is not triggered. Right, actually the button is not triggered, not the switch not triggered. It's a button not triggered. Right, even this message. Let me see. Button. Button is not triggered, huh? That's why this
So
message, yeah.
I think because the button doesn't have the find mute by ID.
Button doesn't have?
Find mute by ID. It doesn't search the button inside the.
Oh, did I forget?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry. I forgot. But no error. How come can compile? Okay. It doesn't check the now point now. Oh, this is nullable. Thank you for pointing me out. Sorry, I forgot. Sometimes I also make mistake. For telling me. How come it doesn't? Okay, Kotlin have we discover Kotlin if you make the variable nullable. Meaning it can skip the compilation error, right? It can skip the compilation error. It's not discover that the variable is a null. It's a null, right? It's a null, right? But it still can compile, but it actually doesn't trigger a runtime error, right? You can still run it without error, It doesn't crash your program, But it can also sometimes mask out the problem. Okay, let's run. I think should work already, Should work already. Thank you for reminding me. Forgot about that. Okay, it's a button problem, not the switch problem. Switch should be there, Should work. Okay, so while waiting for that, let me go to the, okay, let's see. Forgot this, sorry. I assume that I've done it here. Forgot, right? I thought that I've done. Actually, it didn't do, So here, declare. You need to declare first, and then you need to bind it. This is the binding part, Okay, so click, logcat. Yes, button click, right? So let me look for the switch message, Switch check, right? Switch check. Switch uncheck. Switch uncheck. Right? Work, work. Okay, Okay, thank you. All right, okay. Before we go for a short break, let's do one more, Let's do one more. I don't think I can finish all the control today unless I go much faster. I don't know all of you can follow or not. So far, I think so good, right? Is the concept, the principle is there, the same switch, right? So I wouldn't do toggle button. I just let you know that toggle button works almost the same as switch, right? It's just that the layout is different, the view is different. Let me show you toggle button. I just drag one toggle button there, but the concept is the same, It's okay lah. You watch back the video again. Watch back the video again, I want to go a bit faster because I want to teach a bit more. It's okay. I will stop. Slow down. Okay. Okay. And sometimes I'm a bit divided whether I want to do it more or I want to do it less, but I leave it more to you for you to explore yourself. Okay, so let me just drag toggle. Toggle is under widget. Toggle, but no, it's not widget. So it's a bit messy how they actually toggle is a button. Sorry, toggle is a button. Toggle is a kind of button. So you come here, toggle button. Just drag one here. It's an on-off button. It's just a button. Right, let me make it a wrap content. So the way you check whether the toggle button is on or off is still also the same. Right, in the code is also the same. Let me quickly do it. You may not need to do it for your on your part. You just listen. So this one and this one, right? Toggle button. This is called toggle button. So I just do the same quickly. Right, you just declare the variable first. This is called toggle button. Toggle button, and this is toggle button. Let me declare already, right? Okay, toggle is a nullable variable. So be careful. Even though it's good in Kotlin, they don't clash your program during runtime if you make a mistake, null pointer. But you also mask out the problem, right? You cannot find where is the problem sometimes. Okay, toggle button. So I call it toggle button. You don't have to do this one is just the same. Similar in nature to switch. Okay, so R dot id.toggle button. Right, when I do it quite can be, if you are familiar, you can do it fast. Dot set it's not set chat. Let me see whether it's set chat. Yes, it's also set chat. Set chat true. And then when you want to test, toggle button, is the same. Toggle button is checked. Goes to true. This one question mark. Right, nullable variable. Right, so I wouldn't do again. I just put in. I'll give you the sample code. No worry. You can test it yourself later. Toggle button check. Else whatever lah. So else the other way around. So you just call it toggle button here. Right, the same. It's the same. It's just a different layout, different design, different view. Right, different way you look at it. What you want to use. Okay, so let's put in one more. Let me see. I think let's have a short break before we carry on again. Some of you need time to digest. It's a public holiday today. So no worry. No worry. Okay, let me give you a 5 minutes break. 请着 5 minutes break. Just take a rest. Relax. Make some coffee. To refresh yourself. Now after that we continue. The next one, let me give a sneak preview first before we go. All right, next one we want to do an important one, which is choices drop down list. This is important. Also today I need to settle this spinner also. Spinner, and also the date picker. These two. At least you have a control for you to do your assignment. If you have a drop down list, you can do a lot. And date picker also important. Then if we still have time later, we come back to chat box and radio button. To how to do radio button and chat box. This one done already. So I highlight. Right, so we'll do a spinner after the break. Right, thank you. Okay, let's have a 5 minutes break. right, students, while we are going to start again, please have a look at the Moodle there. I have put the latest list of team members listing, like all your team members with your group name. Right, please check whether it's correct or not. So there are 2 students yet still have. I am not too sure your membership, right? I couldn't find in the registration there. So I have to further verify. Ronan, Ronan, are you here or not? Ronan. Ronan is not here, right? He didn't attend. She was my former student also, your senior batch. And Hao Yun is 1809 also. Hao Yun, Ling Hao
Yes,
Yun.
I'm here.
Do you
Yes,
have
I'm
a
here.
group? Do you have a group?
Actually not.
So your assignment 1, have you submitted? I don't find it in the Moodle. Assignment 1.
No.
Have you finished?
Yes, I'm already finished.
Okay, can you submit to me directly? Like you just email me. You just email me.
Okay.
Because I think
Okay.
Moodle I closed already. Let me check on the Moodle. Or you submit to Moodle. Let me reopen the submission. Reopen the submission.
Okay.
Give me a while. Give me a while. I will allow you to submit again today. Can you submit today by today?
Okay, I got it.
Can. So it's already actually 1 day late. So I put it by tonight, by 12 o'clock tonight. Okay, you submit it later after class. Okay, you can submit again to Moodle already, I've said it. How so you are going to do it alone, right? Not going to find any member.
Yes.
Okay, so you just submit to Moodle.
No team member. I do it
Okay, you
alone.
submit. So the other one will be Ronan. Okay, never mind. I will personally go and come to Ronan, go and ask her. Okay, just now in the before the break, right? I said that we are going to do spinner. If you refer to right spinner here, this one, drop down list, very commonly used in most app, but this is one of the one that you need to do a bit more work in order to use it to do it. If you go to this so-called the documentation, the online documentation under Android developer, these are the common user input control that normally user use. So far we have covered button, text field. Text field is the edit text. Zip bar done. Toggle done. Toggle is either switch, number 6, right? Switch or toggle button, just now. And we have yet to do spinner, radio button, and checkbox. Right? Hopefully in the another 1.5 hours you can finish these 3. Spinner. Right? First we'll start with spinner number 7. Right, the spinner, it's a drop-down list. So don't go and search for drop-down list in Android. Right? There is no drop-down list. It's called spinner. Okay, for spinner, there are 2 things that you need to do. Every time you want to do a spinner. Not this one. Sorry, I opened the wrong one. Right, every time you want to do a spinner, you need to do 2 things. One is to populate the spinner first. Populate meaning populate the data for the spinner. And second one is to capture what user select. So to populate the spinner, you need data that you adapt. So you want to adapt some data to the spinner. Okay, let me just use a checkbox notepad to explain that. Right, for a spinner, it's a bit special. It's different from the control that you talked about just now. You need a list, right? That list of values. So you need to populate it with a list of values. So these values normally in database app, normally we can read it from a database. It could be a dynamic list. Right, so dynamic list, you have to have database at the back end. Right, read from database, read from files, read from remote API. can get a remote API, but we haven't learned that yet, right? So, but normally these kind of choices, for example, if the list is about country, nation, right, or countries, it's very common, right? When you do a registration, you want to choose your country, your nationality, right? Your nationality normally is a list of country, right? So this is quite static, right? Quite static. Either you can read it from a remote API that have already that list, right? Or you can do it locally, right? But because country, there are a lot, at least 100 plus, more than 100 countries in the world. So normally people will read from database, read from a API, right? But that API is a static API. So meaning the list is quite static. Or you can store it locally in your program. You can use a string array. If you want to do it static, you can use something called string array in Kotlin, right? In Android, you can use string array, or you can do an array in Kotlin, right? You can use a list or a array to store the values locally inside your code, right? These two, So these are done locally and statically, and as static lists, right? Static lists inside your code, either inside your code or inside your strings file, right? So this is what we are going to do later using strings file, right? This is applicable if your list is quite static. For example, if it is a country, that you already know the list, right? You don't have to generate from a dynamic algorithm, so you already know. Or it can be like gender. Gender, I only have male, female, right? Right? You can use a toggle to do it, but normally people don't use toggle for gender, right? That you seldom see toggle like whether on off. On is male, off is female. Don't do that, right? People still use spinner, even though only two choice, male or female. Or maybe, right, things like choices like you want user to select a few choices like maybe race, or race, your religion, right? Just a few, right? Race, maybe Chinese, right? Or whatever, So these are the things that you can do using a spinner, So things like that, spinner, right? Our case, we are going to use static list, do a static list, So, okay, so how to do a static list in Android project? Okay, let's go to the code. Right, go to the strings. Let's go to the strings. Strings .xml. You can put down something called string array. Right, give it a name. We are going to do gender. Right, just two, male, female, easy. So inside the string array, you can put in item. It's just like an array, right? The name. Sorry, not the name. The value. The value is actually male and female. It's a list. Two with two values, female. Right, so this one you can do it inside your array strings file. Strings file. Understand how to do a array static? This is static, and if the value is not a lot, right? And just now the sample code, I forgot to send you a sample code you can get from check. If you cannot follow, the code are there. Or you can open out using my sample code. User input control. Okay, this is the strings that you can put in into your string file. String file. We call it a string array. Now we are going to call this value out from the resource. This is a resource file, right? This value and list it inside the drop-down list, right? Okay, let's go to the activity main, right? Activity main. Let's put down a divider again. We want to separate the section so that you can test it separately. This is just to learn to make this more organized. Just put in a view. This is a divider code. You can always reuse this divider code over and over again. So just put it down after your button just now. Right button. So put in a view, another view, right? Another divider, right? So let's drag. Now we drag, we copy and paste the divider there, right? And then we paste a spinner. So what is where can we find a spinner? Let me find a spinner. Let's see. Spinner is not here. Container. Spinner is not there. Helper. Cannot find spinner. Common. Text is not text. Button is not button. Actually, we can type, just that, how come it is not there? Spinner. Oh, here, sorry. Under containers, the first one. Containers, the first one, spinner. So drag spinner down, right? So spinner. You see a triangle, right? You see a triangle, a reverse triangle, on the right. So that reverse triangle indicate is a spinner. So if you go to the code, it's called SPINNER, a spinner. So spinner, let's not to make it match parent. We don't want it to look so long, right? So normally we just populate and use our content, as long as the content, our content. So this is a spinner, right? Spinner control with an ID, spinner. Okay, let's go to the code again. Same thing that we do. So the variable spinner, right? It's a spinner. Declare it to null. It's a nullable variable. Question mark. Okay, this one, import the class. Import the class. So since we import so many button, spinner, toggle button, seat bar, so we can just import everything at one go, right? Asterisk stands for everything. This is to import something like seat bar, button, switch, spinner, etc. All the views, right, at one go rather than writing separately. So use asterisk. Okay, so spinner. Right now, let's in the onCreate method. Again, we start a section for that testing. Spinner, right? Spinner, and then we find the view by ID, right? Find the view by ID, and it's a good practice to specify the type, right? So r.id.spinner, right? Spinner is the ID. Okay, now the first thing we do when we do this, we want to load, right? Load the so-called the list, right? The resources to the spinner. This one you need to, let me see. You need an adapter, something called an adapter, right? An adapter. Let me see. First thing first. Okay, let's declare a array, array of string inside our code first. Right, let's declare an array of string. Right, so right, local, just use the local variable will do. Genders, right? It's a gender. So genders, and then it's an array of string. In the string array, we call it, we use this. It's an array of string colon, right? The type. Now cannot be a value of non-null. Okay, this one has to be sorry, wait. Okay, let me see. Okay, so the question mark should be here. It's a null type. So genders. Right, declare a local variable genders. Right, an array of string. Right now we want to read it out from the string array. Huh? So we need to use something called resources. Resources, something like this. Right? Genders, this variable. We want to populate it with the values from the string array. So it's a string array. Right? So string array here, right? Just now. String array. Here inside the XML file, remember, always they use, if you want to connect two string together, right? Two string together, you don't use capital letter. All the values inside, all the tag and also the value tag, all the tag inside the XML file, you realize whether it's in the layout, right? Layout or color or so on, it's all small letter. Don't use capital letter in XML, remember, unless it's the value. Value is okay, but not the name is okay. Name is up to you, right? Normally, by convention also, you see most of the example, they don't use capital letter. Just follow the convention. So remember, so that you can differentiate whether this name belongs to XML, is a layout site, is a view, or this value is actually in your code. Inside the code is okay. You can use capital letter and so on, right? So in the convention for a variable, it's up to you. You can use camel case, right? Or you want to use underscore also can, right? But inside the layout, normally all of them, they use small letter, small letter like this string array. So inside the function, the corresponding function inside activity main, right? If you want to get this value, you want to read this value from here, you need to call this method. Resources is the global variable, right? You don't have to declare. You don't have to declare. It's just resources. You recognize what is that, right? It's a resources is a variable under the get resource. Actually, the app compare activity, part of the app compare activity, get resources, right? Get resources dot get string array. It's a camel case, capital S, capital A, right? Camel case function, get string array. And this is your array name, r.array.gender, right? Gender is actually this name. Just now we put gender. Gender here. So in your code, you also put gender. Understand? Once you got the values, you will load the value. This one is to load the value. Put genders with values from string array in strings dot XML. Resources dot get string array. Right? And then the next will be your spinner. Spinner, you need to do a bit more work. So I just give you do a bit like copying to you so that because these are standard code. Standard code we always have to do. So for spinner, the standard code is you need to set the click listener first. You need an adapter. Remember, anything that you have a data from the back, data is in the string array, and then you have a view, right? The spinner is the view. You have a data, which is the string array. You cannot directly connect. You have to connect it through something called adapter, right? We always need an adapter. In this case, we call it a array adapter. It's because we are using an array. So we need use an array adapter class. So anything with data and view, data connect to a view. View is the layout, right? The spinner, and data is your string array here. This one, string array, right? So anything to do with data plus view, in remember this pattern in Android later. Most of the thing that you do later, recycler view also you have an adapter. If you have some data that you want to adapt it to a view, you always need to have something that is in between the two. We call it adapter. And in this case, it's an array, right? It's an array. That's why we call it array adapter. So this, you need to write an adapter. Okay, very fast. So I just quickly put it in. All right. Declare an array adapter, right? So you can put any, or it's just actually a array of string, right? It's a string, right? It's actually a string. It's actually string. You can put any, actually doesn't matter, but it's actually string. So we can put in string lah. Okay, array adapter class, the type is array of string. Can be null, can be empty, can be null. Right, and then this is the current context, which is the activity, and this is a specific kinds of this is a system so-called ID that we want to specifically tell the app that this view is a simple spinner item. So there is many choice actually you can choose. Your spinner can look differently. It can be some list content, blah blah blah. But our case, we just do a spinner that is very plain. It's just a plain, simple spinner. Just a string list of string. We list out the string only. But there are other choices for you to select for the layout of your spinner. So you want to look some fancy spinner that looks differently, you can choose one of these. So for our case, we don't do a fancy spinner. And this one is your variable. This one, the genders, you put it down. Because this is nullable, right? In Kotlin, the other way around, when you put in, you have to put this long story lah. So this is Kotlin for null safety because this is nullable. Then your genders variable, you have to put in this to force it to be similar to the type of like the what is that? Java kinds of variable. When you put in this, is like this one will work like a Java variable. So just put in this. So let me give you this. So you put in this after you have read the value from the spinner, right? This is to set the style of your spinner. Set the style, right? Do an adapter that will set the style of the spinner, right? The data come from genders variable, this variable. Okay. Right. So now you want to put down the also another setting, which is the drop down view resource. Okay, add dot. This add is actually the variable, right? Variable adapter. So set the variable, the drop down, the array, the adapter, array adapter variable, right? Set the drop down view resource as this is another layout style. Simple spinner drop down item. Right? So there are many choice also again, just now, like just now. So set this as simple one. We are just doing something simple. The drop down itself. So you have two things to set. One, the layout is about the spinner, the value inside the drop down, and also the entire drop down itself. Make it very simple drop down item. So this is another one that you have to. This is just to set it. Setting only. Or you can change this function also can change this function like that. Cannot. Oh, cannot change. This function cannot be changed. Also, we have to use this to set the value again to call this variable. Okay, so this one. This is for spinner. Spinner, always remember you have to do these two steps. This is to set the adapter. Set configure the adapter. Right? Configure the adapter. The array adapter. Then after that, we want to assign the adapter. Assign the adapter to the spinner. So what happened is here, the next one, once your spinner is already, your adapter is already set, then you just set adapter, right? And add the adapter to your spinner, right? Spinner is again nullable, right? Spinner dot set adapter and pass the adapter variable to your spinner. This is the last step. Right, so once this is done, it's only half done. Half done. This is only loaded. You want to load the app with the load the list with the values. Right, we can test now. Right, you can see male, female will be listed in the drop-down list. right? Loaded. But now we want to capture the value. When user select certain thing, you want to do something, right? You want to capture that value, which value actually user select. So for now, we show first. We can show first. This part is to show the entire of this part from here up to here. This part of the code. This part of the code is actually to show the value from the string array. Right? To show here, male, female. Can I see or not? It's done. Male, female. This very plain, right? Very plain, very white color and very easy, very plain layout is actually based on what you do just now. You set it as a simple spinner item, simple spinner drop down item. These two ones you set. You can experiment, change different layout and see what happens in this, right? The layout will be different. So this is simple list. Okay, now we want to do the other one, which is to capture the value. When user select a value, right? You want to capture that value. So again, drop down list, we also don't trigger the drop down list with a listener straight away. When user select something, right? You don't want to straight away change the value, right? You want to change the value when people click a button to submit. When at the moment when user submit, only you capture that value, right? So again, we can create a button. Create a button. Okay, let's go to the layout again. We want to just experiment. So we create another button. Go to buttons. Drag a button here. Again, this button. So you are familiar with button already, so I wouldn't go too much into button. I just say it's a submit also. This button is also to submit, but this button is to submit spinner. Right, just now the other button we submit the switch. Submit the switch value. Right, so let's differentiate between the two. One is switch, one is spinner. Right, so it's button 2. Right, the ID button 2. Okay, now in the code, we go back to the code. Again, we need to do a button listener. So declare the variable again. Let's put the button together. Button 2, button goes to now. Right? So button 2 now. So let's not forget to find the view here. After the spinner set adapter, right here. Button 2 click. Right? So we are going to get the view. Find the view. Button 2 equals to find view by ID. It's a good practice to put in the type. And then here we make it r.id.button2. Right? Button 2. Right? So button 2 set on click listener. Use the simpler one, this one. Right? So this question mark is because we didn't put nullable variable. Sometimes some of these context advice is not applicable in this case. It's not because of the this. Right? Just put a question mark. Nullable variable. Set on click listener. So just now we capture the value, right? For the switch, right? Set on click listener. Then we get the value. Switch is just on off. Right? But now we want to get the value of the spinner. Actually, what value is being selected, right? Selected by the user. So for spinner, okay, let me check. The spinner is a bit longer, the code for you to get the value. Okay, now we need to, okay, let me see. Okay, there are ways, and just how I say, right, it's not so suitable for us to use an item selected. If you want to directly capture the value, you can use an on item selected listener. Right, on item selected listener. That one we'll do it later. Okay, let's say this one spinner dot selected. All right, selected item ID, or selected item. So you want to get the value after button click, right? You can use this variable. Select the item. So let's just log this value. We log the value. It's a By right, it should be the string. Change it to string. Right, so selected item is a string, right? So it's a string, we can declare it as a string. So we just want to get the value of the spinner lah. Whatever selected lah. You selected the property is selected item. Just now, yeah, switch is check, right? So this is selected item. We convert it to string. So what we do is now we want to check when people select, right? Button 2, right? Click, and then you want to see the, just print a log message. So this one, the tag we use, this is what? This is spinner. Spinner, question mark, comma, and then we put in the value of the selected item. We just want to test. So let's run. Test actually what is selected, what is being selected by the user. When button is clicked, spinner dot selected item. Okay, let me give you this code. Let's run. Right, so we'll use logcat to check the message, this message. Logcat, okay, so I will select female. Right, I go to the logcat, open the logcat, right? I select female, right? I submit. So let me filter, info, filter by spinner, spinner, the tag is spinner, right? The spinner tag, right? Spinner. So I select, right? So female is being selected, So if I select male, submit, male, select male again, male, okay, so this is simple, right? This is to, in your app, you want to get what user select, use selected item property, But let's say you want to also set a listener for your spinner, right? Let's say this spinner, right? You want to, whenever the value change, you want to do something. Let's say you want to trigger something, right? You can set on item selected listener, right? And put this here. Let's say you want to also capture the value whenever user, the value change, the choice change, right? This is seldom in your use case. Normally you use a button, right? When it is confirmed, only you select the value, right? But sometimes also there are some condition where you select the choice change, you want to trigger some event. You want to trigger something that happened, right? For example, one drop-down list, you choose a country. Then another drop-down list, you want to populate the states within the country based on what user choose. User choose something, you want to trigger an event, and then you want to populate another list, another spinner with the value which is dependent on the choice of the user for the first spinner, right? In that case, you can set a listener to your spinner directly. So this one, this Y error, because you need to set create a on click, on item click callback. Right, callback for, right? This one I auto generate, but for you, you can, if you know, you can write yourself. Okay, callback for spinner on item selected, right? Listener. So we can have something defined if you want to do when somebody click an item, right? So what happens? So this is how you can put it in spinner. You can set somewhere on top, you set a listener, set the listener. This is to register the listener. Every time we can do like that for any kinds of control. You can always register the listener first, right? Set means register, register the listener first. So let me give you. You can put it as soon as you find the view. Right after you find the view, you can set the listener already. At the listener already, then you need to have a corresponding callback, right? The callback for this one, the listener, is actually here down there, callback, callback is called on item click, so these are just the variable, variable that for you, so you actually this variable has some meaning, the variable, let us rename the variable, so that you know what are the meanings of it. Okay, the first one is the adapter view. The first one, adapter view, just don't call it p parameter 0 lah. We can put it in different line, so that it's easier to read the code. Different line. So this is the view. Just call it view, don't put p1. Okay, what is p2 actually? The integer. What is this integer? When people click, right? Someone click choose the what is that? The drop down, the spinner. This is actually the position, starting from 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? Let's say you have male, female. Male is 0, female is 1. So you give you the ID, the position of that. And then the fourth one, the lon. What is lon? Lon is actually the ID lah. It's the actual ID. Position is which one? Which 0? Position 0, position 1, position 2. So this is the last one is a lon, which is an ID. So this is the on item click. Callback is for a spinner. For a spinner. Right. So now what do you want to do here? We also do a log. All right. Just do a log whenever you select. This is also a for spinner. Just put the tag as spinner. Do a log. So we want to print the position. Position is an integer, so you need to convert it to string. Position dot to string. Right? Or you want to print the ID also can. ID dot to string. So let's see what the user actually select whenever they do the selection. Or you want to print the value out from the array. Just now remember our array is called genders. Right? This genders. Just now, right? We do the genders here. Let's say you want to print the array, the values of the array in that log. So actually we should move this out to be global, so that it can be accessed from the callback. Callback is outside of onCreate method. So if you put it local to the onCreate method, this variable cannot be accessed outside of the onCreate method. Right? onCreate method. So let's move this to global. Move it outside. Put it here. Just put it together with spinner here. Right? Move this variable outside of the onCreate method. Move it outside. So this one become global now. So we can access the value of the genders here. Here, right? Instead of printing the position 0, 1, right? We can directly print the genders and then put in the position. So this one, position is the index. Actually, position is 1, 2, 3, right? Index. So this one we need to replace it with a safe code. Not like that. Actually, just put the double exclamation. This is Kotlin issue Kotlin feature. Because your gender is a nullable array. Nullable array, like array string null. So you have to put double exclamation. So here. So we can actually put in this log and test. See which one actually user actually select. Right? The values, male, female. Right? We want to print as soon as user select something. Right? Select something on item click. So let's test it now. Right? We'll test it again here. Right? We clean the logcat. Clean the logcat. Let's test again. Okay, so now we test again. Okay, now the mechanism is different from button click. We don't have to wait for button click for the drop down value to be printed. Hey, what happened here? There's an error. Okay, what is the error? Unable to start activity component info. Runtime cannot be used with a spinner. Oh, not on item click. Sorry, it's not on item click. Sorry. On item selected. Listener, sorry. It's not. Okay, let me check. Why is it's not click. Sorry, it's not click. It should be set on item selected. on item selected listener. Right, set on item selected. Sorry, I made a correction. Here, this is not. It's not this. So the callback, the function should be on item selected. It's not on click. On item click. So let's move this. It's the same actually. It's the same. Just that this function it should be on item selected. Still the same. The parameter is the same. Change it to on item selected. And the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. Okay, let me remove this one. Okay, on item selected. And then for this purpose, you also need to override another one on nothing selected. On item selected and on nothing selected. All right, you need these two callback. It's a pair. It's a pair. So this one. On nothing selected, on item selected, and on nothing selected. So these two. Sorry, just now it's not on item click. It's not click. It should be on item selected listener. Here. Right, the spinner set on item selected listener. Let me see what is the error. Set on items list selected. It's selected. It's a selection. Right, it's not a click. So there are so many callbacks, so we have to be familiar. Right, so because of that, then you also have to change it right on here, right? The on item selected, right? And also the on nothing selected. So let me give you this. Okay, so let me run again. How come got error? What is the error? Where is, this one. Okay. So this one we need to implement on item click. Not to do this. Okay, let me see anything that I need to remove. Abstract method, public abstract on item click. Okay, because the adapter view I removed already. It's now the on click. Let me see anything that I missed out. Let me check. Just now we did a wrong one, so I need to remove that. Okay, yeah. We need to add in interface, right? This one, because we are implementing this set on item selected, on nothing selected, right? This is actually a function under interface, right? Just now we set for the way, let me show you. Spinner, right? We set on item selected listener. Here in the this one is wrong. So we have to change it to the interface here. Okay, remove. Okay, we just need to remove this one. It's there already. This one. We need to implement. So this is an interface. Adapter view on item selected listener. You must have this adapter view. The click remove because I did it wrongly. Adapter view on item selected listener. This one on item selected listener is the interface for this function. This function. And the callback for this listener, here we only register the callback, and then we need to implement two, actually not one, two callback method, right? Only the spinner will work, right? So this is how you actually trigger event using a spinner, right? Even without button click, right? This is like every time users change a choice, then you can capture that value, what user actually select. Right, so you see this one spinner. As soon as you see the log cat, right, I'm going to show you what user select. As soon as I choose female, so it will be printed here, right, female, right? So I choose male, so you'll be triggered every time the user make a choice. The selection change, the item change on item selected. then you'll trigger this lock. So there are two ways to do it, but most of the use case is when you click a button, then you select the value. You want to capture that value. So these are two different use cases for a spinner. Right? Any questions so far? Right, spinner done. Okay, so another way of giving the user a choice, right? Another two ways is actually checkbox and radio button, right? Checkbox and radio button. Okay, let's do a quick one, checkbox, because we don't have much time left, right? We are going to do a checkbox. Let's go to the view again. Okay, before going there, so let me come here, right? This is another way if you want to declare local list. Just now we declare inside the string array, right? The values male, female here, right? So another way of doing it is, just now the list is here, right? Genders, right? You declare using this resources. You read from the string file, the array. Okay, we can also do like this. And let's say I comment out this one. I want to do a local array in the code also can. You want to create an array in the code. This is a string array. Right? And then you can create an array of, right? Array of function. Remember, this is a constructor when we do the, I think I didn't teach you. So this is a function that you can create. You can list down the values that you want to create. For example, array of, let me see. Local, I think this is already declared. Let me check. Array of, okay. So I don't have to put down the type already, because it's already declared. Just now declare already, just assign. Array of. You can also assign the value here in the code, male, female. The way you do this, using a constructor, this one will create an array of strings. So you can put in the type here also, actually string in the string. So create an array of string. So you can do this as well. Right? It's the same. This one is to read from the resources. You put it in the file. Here is directly in the code. If your choice of the drop-down list is not allowed, you can do this. Actually, it's the same. Right? It will work the same. Okay, so I give you this. Okay, let's move on to radio button. Radio button now. Let's say your user want to, right, give a choice to the user. Let's put a divider before we go on. Draw the next. We put in a divider again. Right, put in a divider after the button. Right, put in another divider. Here's another divider. Right, let's put in to drag a radio group first. Right, so radio button, you must have a group. Right, you have a group that control, right, that contain the button. So we always have to put group first and then the button, right? So drag the button in. Right, so you can have a group of buttons because the choice of that radio button is related. Right, let's say you want user to select different color, red, blue, green. Red, blue, green, they can only choose one. So they must be in a group. Right, so drag and declare the create a group based on the. So this is very common, the radio button you can do in a survey form. Let's say your app need to have a Q&A screen activity Q&A. So you might need to have a radio group with a radio button, with radio buttons. Let's say in this example with A, B, C, D, 4 button. You can drag 4 button into the one group. Right, in the code you can see it's actually one radio button, a radio group, with 4 radio buttons. Huh? So radio button ID, right, one by one. And then let's say the values is like question. Okay, let's say we can create a text view also here. We just do as if it is a question, right? So we put a text view inside this radio group, right? You can drag a text view. Here we can drag a text view on top. Text view on top. Huh? So let's say we do a Q&A like MCQ. This is an MCQ question. All right, MCQ question. The text view, where's the text view here, right? So text view, we like, let's say question 1, right? Which year are you in? Example, I just put an example. Which year are you in? Right, in Xiamen University, first year 1, year 2, year 3, let's say year 4, right? You have 4 years course, right? Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Then you want user to select which one, and then we also put a button after this, so that when people submit, right, you want to submit this value, right? Which one the value actually is the answer, right? User select. And then the button, let's say the button is also part of the radio group, right? You can call it submit, right? Submit radio button, right? So submit radio button, right? So submit radio button. And then the values of it, let's change it to year 1, right? The ID, year 2, year 3, year 4. The text view, right? Doesn't matter, the ID. And then the radio group, we give it an ID. Right? Just listen first, later I give you this code. Year of study. Year of study. Let's say the radio group is year of study. Or maybe it's question 1, so we create question 1, Q1. Let's say this is question 1. Question 1. Right? Year 1. Right? Question 1, Q1. Example. So you can set up, right, in the layout your radio group with button inside and also the question for the radio group. They must belong to the same radio group, then you can process them together, the choice of the 4 radio button. Right, example. So let's just do a simple example. Just 1 radio button. So when users click the button, we want to see what actually which radio button is being clicked by the user. So as simple as that. Okay, let's move to the main activity. Go to the main activity again. Okay, give you a few seconds for you to put in the layout. Right now we want to create a radio group. Right, again, inside the code, right, we put in a radio group variable. Right, radio group. Or you call it question 1, Q1, right? It's a radio group, right? And then we make it now first. Make it now. Right, radio group, which is question 1. In actual implementation, of course, you got many radio group, right? Not only just one, Maybe you need to create an array of radio group, right? Array of variable Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and so on. Right, let's say for now you only have 1 question, Q1, variable radio group. Right, so now in the onCreate method, right? So this radio group again, let us go to the bottom here, somewhere down there after this spinner. This is for radio group and radio button. Okay, let's find the view again. Find Q1, find view by ID. So this is radio group. And then the R dot ID dot radio group. Or Q1. Just now in the view, I put Q1. Right, this is Q1, right? Just now in the radio group here, Q1. Radio group Q1. Huh? So Q1, so let's find the view by ID Q1. Okay, now we want to know the values that is being selected. Right, the check actually is used check by the user. Huh? Radio group. So on button click, just now we create a button, right? This button. Normal use case is when user click the button, right? So let's add in a button again. Right, add in a button again. Button 3. Button. Right, it's quite simple, right? It's just a repetition again. Button 3. And then we set the listener. As soon as somebody click, we want to capture this value, right? Button 3. Like this one, it's actually the same. More or less the same as button 2 click. Right? We want to find the view by ID first. There is a button. R.ID. Button 3. Button 3. So here we do the listener. Set on click listener. This one. Set on click listener. Right? Inside here, right? Again, we want to know which radio button, right, is selected. Right? Radio button is selected. To selected. Oh, there is not selected. Let me see. Is there a way to get the value? Item. No. Okay, cannot. Okay, let me check. Radio group, the radio button. Check. Oh, okay, check. Check radio button ID. Here. This one. You want to get the which one is check? Is this one actually? Check radio button ID. This value will return the ID. Just now, remember here we put in the ID. Right? Year 1, year 2, depending on your design. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Right? The radio button. Right? You return this ID. So what happened is we try to log the value. This one, the ID. Right? We want to print out. So this is a question mark. It's a nullable variable. Nullable. Right? So we just log the value again. So I want to know which one is selected. So radio, putting a tag radio. Right? And then print out the value. Okay. Right? So we can check now. When button click, then we want to know radio group. Under this radio group Q1, which is this radio group. Right? Q1. Which button is being selected? Then we want to know the ID. The ID will be the answer. The answer the user select. So let's check whether it's correct or not. Okay, let's run. Yeah, let's run. Okay, loaded. Okay, now you see this one. Which year are you in? Year 1, year 2. Let's check the logcat. Logcat. Okay, change it to now is radio button. I select year 1. Then I click the button. The ID is not the value. This is I think it's not the ID. Okay, it shouldn't be the ID. Then I have to check. ID that we want. Check. It could be this one. Okay, but this is a function, it's a method. Oh, cannot get, right? Cannot get directly. Cannot get directly like this, right? What we do now is we need to call back, right? We need a callback. Okay, let's put this aside first, right? So this so-called the radio group, right? You want to, we have to declare a local variable, selected radio, let's say, okay, so it's a string. Let's declare as a string, right? In this case, selected radio, right? So it's a, right. Let's say, okay, we need a callback in this case, So we need to do something like just now, like when user select, then you assign the value selected by user to the local variable. And then when people click the submit button, only you use that global variable to show the value, to use the value of that selected radio, right? So let's we have to do a set on check change listener, set on check change listener. This one, Q1, right? The radio group set on check. This one, change listener. Sorry, this one. We need to do a listener actually. And do something there. So the callback method for the on change listener is actually on check change listener. Right? So we can directly write here. Or you can do it like this. You put this. You just put this here. This here. And then here, the question mark, right? Okay, so here and then this, right? So again, you write the callback outside. Callback is on check change callback, right? On check change, because radio button is actually check, so they use check instead of select. It's not select, it's check. Okay, so this is callback event handler for radio group, or radio group. Okay, so the first parameter 0 is the radio group, right? So just use a variable, we name it radio group lah. This is the position, the position of what is being selected, what is being checked, right? So the ID lah, the check ID actually, the check ID. Right, now we want to know which button is being checked. So what happened is we want to get the check ID. This is the check ID better. It's more informative. Check ID, the integer. So we declare we want to get the radio button, that radio button with the check ID, radio button. And it is checked, the group. You remember we have a group and then we have a few buttons. Now we want to get the value, the value of the button. Right, find view by ID, which is radio button, right? And then r.id, this ID, we don't fix the ID come from here. You want to select the radio button that is being selected based on what user select. So this on check change, right? Just now, remember here we set the listener already. Q1, right? Q1 is actually the radio group, right? Find the view and then we set the on check change. So this one I give you first. You need to put in this, set the listener first. Listener, and then inside the set listener the callback, the corresponding callback method of the radio group, right? And then you have to get the individual radio button, view the ID. You bind it to the which one is being checked. The check ID is given by the callback, right? So you pass the callback, the ID to the callback, and then you capture that radio button, and now we can log and see what user select actually, right? Or you don't want to log straight away, right? You can also assign the value. Right? Just now there's a variable, right? Okay, this one is you want to check the radio button, this button, right? Whatever button selected by user, the text, right? There's a text here, right? That's not the question, right? Radio button, year 2, year 3, year 1, right? So you want to select, you want to know what value is being selected by the user. You can just print the text, print it as a text, right? Print it to the log. Or you want to, when button click, right? This one, right? Just now, right? This button click, we have declared a local variable here, selected radio. We call it selected radio button, variable. Selected radio button, you assign it with the value. Okay, we have to do the same like this one, right? So I have to do the same here. Oh, cannot. Oh, sorry. The assignment is done in the callback. Sorry. This one assignment is done in the callback here. You can assign the value here. It's actually this value. So this value must be global. So this value you must declare it globally. Globally, inside the class, right? Globally somewhere here. When you declare it globally, this one can be accessed from the callback, right? Selected radio button, the string, right? Selected radio button, the string. You capture the value from this string, from the radio button selected, right? The string assigned to it. So this is when you select and change, then this is triggered. And then we also want to trigger what the final radio button selected by user. So we can do it here. Just print out that selected button, radio button, the string, dot to string, the variable, the value that you assign here. Every time people select, you'll be assigned a new value, right? So whenever people submit, click the button, then only you print out which one is being selected. Okay, let's test it. I will give you this code later. Okay, so just see the mechanism, how it works. So the radio button. Right, it's launched. Right here, select, let's say year 1. So you can see the logcat here, right? I filter by radio, the logcat info, radio, year 1. Right, every time you trigger year 2, year 3, year 4. The last one is year 4, right? So as soon as I submit, submit radio button, year 4. This year 4 is printed by the variable, this variable. When button is clicked, only the last one is selected. Let's say last one is year 2. Right, the current choice is year 2. I click submit. Year 2 is printed. This year 2 actually is triggered by callback. The first year 2, there are 2 year 2, right? The first year 2 is triggered by the callback. So it's actually printed by this log. This log. In the on check change. And then the last year 2 is triggered by the button click. Right, on button click here. Set on click listener, button click. I print this variable. There is assign the value inside the callback. Understand? So this is how you capture the value from a radio button. Radio group and then radio button. Okay, never mind. If you are you need time to digest, no worry. I'll give you the sample code later. Sample code. Okay, let's do one last, which is the date picker. Date picker is also quite, for checkbox is more or less in this example. So checkbox I'll put in later, right? And then I'll send you the entire example. So for now, we are not going to do checkbox. Checkbox is similar in concept in radio group, but it doesn't have a group, checkbox. But let's do the date picker. Date picker. Okay, so for date picker, normally we don't directly drag the date picker into our layout. We don't put a date picker directly inside the layout. Right, we don't directly put a date picker inside the layout. If you drag a date picker into the layout, let me see the date picker. Date picker is quite common. So you normally we put something there for people to tap on it, and then the date picker will come out with as a dialog. Right, date picker normally is a dialog. Open a dialog. Okay, so what we are going to do is actually to put in an edit text first. Edit text. We use an edit text to contain the date picker, to be the choice. Okay, before we start, we just put a separator again, divider again. Put a divider. So just choose a divider. Copy this part of the code. Write the view. Write the divider code. And paste it somewhere down there after the radio group. Write the divider. So you see a divider here. Right, somewhere here. Cannot see. Okay, it's okay because this is a radio group. Okay, the radio group, I think we need to remove the match parent. Height should be red content. Otherwise, you match the parent. Cannot see the rest. So it's not match parent. It should be red content for the height. Radio group. Okay, now after the divider, we are going to add in an edit text. Edit text. So just go to text. Okay, we are going to use plain text. Just a plain text box. Plain text. So for this edit text, right, call it date of birth. Right, it's a date of birth. Wrap content, no need to be so long. Right, so input type should be text. Just text. We do normal text. And the hint, we put in a hint. Put in hint, this is date of birth. DOB. So just putting an edit text after the divider. Date of birth. It's a date picker. We are going to test this with a date picker. Or maybe we just put date picker. Yeah. Use a hint. No need to print out the date picker. Right, so create a date picker here. It's an edit text. It's an edit text. Right, the layout. Layout. You can put next. The next one, the object. Right, will be a date picker. It's a date picker. Right. Okay. Now after done the date picker, we have to go to the code again. Right, in the date picker, after just now the radio group, right, we create another section for the date picker. Date picker for date of birth. Right, DOB lah, we call it the variable as DOB. Okay, can follow. Date of birth, right? So there is an edit text. Remember, there is an edit text. So we need to go to the global variable here, right? Declare a variable for the edit text. We call it DOB. Edit text. It's an edit text. Right? Now, again is a nullable variable. Nullable edit text. Date of birth. That edit text. Right. Okay. Now, in the code, right, we need to bind it. Right. First thing also again, date of birth equal to find view by. This one I will go a bit faster because it's the same. So this is a edit text we are doing. right? r.id.dob, huh? We call it dob. This one, the ID is dob, the edit text, right? And then once we capture this field, we want to do a listener, because it's an edit text, we do a listener. People click on it, when people click on it, we want to open up a dialog, open a dialog. Okay, so we want to open a dialog, we need some variable to get the year, so we need, when open up the dialog, right, people choose, right, declare variables to store the year, month, and day selected, right? User will actually select year, month, day. So we can use the calendar class in Java. It's a Java class, calendar class, right? So we create the day, month, year variable, right? Day, month, year based on this calendar class, right? So this calendar class have this is a collection of, you can get the value, the day of the month of the year, right, and the year value, right? So the month is 1 to 12, the day of the month, and 0 to 11, sorry, 0 to 11, this one. Day of month is actually 1 to 31, 1 to 28, 29, 30, 31, day. And then the year, it can be the year, the year selected. So let's put in this, right, callback. And sorry, the listener first, declare first. All right, not yet, not yet. This is just declare. Okay, now we want to put in a dialog, right? So the picker, date picker is a dialog, right? It's a dialog. It opens up on another dialog box, right? So we can create that dialog, right? Date picker, we call it date picker, date, or call it date picker, right? It's a date picker dialog, right? And then we create this date picker dialog, import, right? It's a different class, right? It's under Android app, date picker dialog. Okay, can, right? Just declare that dialog. There are a few parameters that we have to set for the dialog. Right, so we open when the button is clicked, the edit text, not the button, edit text is clicked, then we pop out a dialog. Right, pop out a dialog. Okay, so the first parameter of the dialog is the current context. Current app context, which is the current activity, in other words. Just put this, the context, current activity. It open up from the current activity, which is main activity. Just put this. Right, the second parameter. The second parameter is actually the listener. We can write the listener separately, or we can directly write the listener in the same. We can, this is a comma, right? You can put the second parameter, the comma here. The second parameter, the comma, is entire listener. Like that. Right, the comma. This is other parameter, not yet, not finished yet. There's another parameter. Right, so the second parameter is the most important. Right, is a listener. So when user select, right, the pop up, right, user select, then you trigger this listener. So when it is triggered, then what do you do? Based on this variable day, month, year, right? Day, month, year. So wait. Let me remove all this comment. So we can create this is called a lambda function. It's a function. Lambda function. Right? So this lambda function, this is the input, and this is the body of the function. We use an arrow. Lambda function. So the view the year, the month, the day will be the, and let me see. Yeah, will be the parameters, 4 parameters. So year, month, day, right, is the input here, day, month, year. So we set the value of the text box. This is the text box, right? The text box, the edit text. Just now, right, we declare this edit text. Edit text. When it is clicked. So now you want to populate the edit text. Edit text just now, there is no date there, right? The edit text is just a hint, right? Date picker, right? A hint. So what do we do when users select from the dialog already? What we do is we want to populate, set the text of the dialog, of the edit text, set the text of the edit text to the format we want, the date, right? Day slash month, month plus 1, because I say month is from 0 to 11. So if it is 0 means January, so plus 1, right? To string. So we do a day slash month slash year. We populate. This is not double. No need to have semicolon. It's actually the, okay. So this is the function, right? The function that we want to do when user select, right? And then parameter 3, 4, 5 are the year, month, day, right? Then we just put in the 5. There are so 5 parameters for this function. In other words, here, right? After this callback method, this is parameter 2, parameter 1, parameter 2, and another 3 parameters here, right? Year, month, day. Okay, let me see. Did I miss out something? Is it so? Looks like there's an error here. Let me check. Let me check. Okay, here dot show the dialog, right? The dialog dot show. But the problem is there's an error here. Let me check. Okay, let me, because I think I missed out something already. We just put it there. Okay, I think I missed out something in the code. Not sure where just now, the comma or something like that. That I miss out. So this is the callback, the second parameter, the context, which is the first parameter. Parameter 3, year, month, day. These are the name, month, year, right? So you pass it in as parameters to the date picker. Also, the date picker, when user select, you can capture that selection. And then dot show is just to show the date picker. So when users have selected the choice, then the edit text will be populated with the value. Populated with the value. The edit text will be populated with the value. Okay, so just understand the mechanism first. The code is looks a bit unfamiliar to you at this point in time, but it's okay. Just understand how how it works. Right, you have a date picker dialog open up. User select something there. You capture the value of the year, the month, the day, and that 3 values will be passed out and will be concatenated in certain way, certain format, and then you populate that value into the edit text. Right, that value will be printed in the edit text. So let's test it now. Test it now. By default, okay, these 3 actually by default will be the current day, current month, current year. Right, these 3 set by default to days. Today's day, month, and year. So these 3 day of month is today, today's date. Right, so we set the value and then we pass it into the date picker dialog. So date picker dialog by default will be one choice. Already selected for you is a day. Today's date. Right, this one, date picker. Right, you see, so date picker I select, pick. Right, dialog come up. So today's date, right, 2nd of May. May 22nd, 2022. Right, May 2022. 2, right? So let's say I select 6 of May, May 6. Okay, right? You trigger this callback, right? On state date set listener, this callback will be triggered when I click OK here. Right? You see the value will be populated. This value, this one function will populate the edit text, right? With the value that is selected by the user. If I select another date, 28, okay, be 28. Understand? Huh? So the mechanism is there, huh? But how to make sure this is cannot be edited, huh? Because the text box can be edited, right? You don't want the text user keying something there, right? You can make the text box to be read only. Huh? Read only. This has to be done in the edit text. Huh? So how to make the text box read only? The date picker, the edit text to be read only, so that user cannot simply type the date there himself, right? So you can actually put this in this so-called attribute focusable in touch mode false, right? In touch mode, user cannot focus on it. When you want to type something into edit text, you must make sure it is focused, right? When you set the focus to be false, it cannot be focused, meaning you cannot type something, right? So this one, so edit text, let me give you this full, sorry, full tag for your edit text, that one. Right, so this one, once I do that, I run again, you see, I won't be able to type inside my edit text anymore, right? Because it's not focusable. So this, you can make it this way. So let me run again. Sorry for her holiday, still under 6. Okay, this is the last one already, last one already. Okay, you see, I type on it straight away. You select, show me the what is that, the dialog, right? So let's say I choose, choose 7th of May 2021, right here, be listed, So if I type again, I cannot type, right? I cannot type, right? I cannot type already. Every time I try to type, you just open the dialog box for me. So okay, there will be another choice. So just put in this focusable in touch mode false. Right. So what happens is, if you want to capture what value, select the final value. Again, give me 1 more minute. Okay, what you need to do is not only to do this, right? You also need to do a button, right? In case, just like the other submit button, you only capture that final choice by the user when user click the button. Let's say here, button 4, here I put submit date. You want to capture the value of the date when people submit the form, let's say, submit date. So what I do here inside this, inside the onCreate method, so what I do is here, I declare the button again. Okay, this one I give you the sample code, no worry. Just see first. Button 4, button, question mark, now. So this button 4, the last button here, button 4, find view by ID. It's a button r.id.button 4. Okay, so button 4 set on click listener. Right, so when I click the button only, I try to get the value of the edit text, which is DOB. Right, edit text is a DOB. I'm not going to deal with the dialog anymore. User have selected and user have populated the edit text with the date. Right, so what I do is, when I click the button, I just want to capture that value. So let's say I capture that value. I want to check the value, right? So this is date picker. date picker. I want to check the value of the edit text or dob dot text. Value dot to string. I just bring out what is the value of the date, right? That is being selected by the user and log it. So one more time, the last one. The last thing that we do today. We'll call it a day in the afternoon to learn so many things is quite good already, good enough. 6 o'clock already, sorry for holiday. Okay, so the last one, I just show you how it works. Right, let's check on the logcat, the logcat. Right, I'll click the button and then you can see the date selected. Right, so I select a date, date picker, I select 31st of May. Right, 31st of May. I click the submit date. So here I filter by the date picker. Filter by the date picker, I submit the date. Right, so it's selected. So this is the date picker. The date shown by the edit text. So if you select another one, submit, so you get another one. Okay, so far so good. Any question? Before you go, okay, for your holidaying, let me just give you this code, the latest code, the functioning one. When you do your assignment, you can go through this again. Whatever user input that you want to do, mostly covered. Time picker is similar to date picker. Later on, I'll enhance this example and give you another one in the Moodle. I'll add it on. But for this one, the current one, you get it first from me. I give you first. For today's one, for today's. Before you go, right? 6 o'clock already. Okay, let me just clean it first. Let me clean it first. See. All right. I forgot to clean. Let me clean first before I. Okay, let me clean it first. Clean the project first. Okay, I zip to you. So this project is user input control. For today, we have learned user input control. Next week, we are going to do recycler view. One also very important control on user interface. Very common in mobile app. Right, next week we are going to do that. So user input control for today. Okay, please download from the chat again. User input control on Teams. On Teams. Right? Any questions, student? We have gone through this in a holiday. Quite a good achievement. At least we have done something today. Any question? The code, the recording, I'll put on Moodle later. Give me some time. So later on, you can get the code on Moodle and also the recording on Moodle as well. Hao Yun, please remember to submit the assignment, assignment 1. Okay, I have enabled the assignment submission until tomorrow. Right, you can submit by today. Okay, Hao Yun for assignment 1. Right, so you can also start to work on your assignment 2 already. The skill that you learn so far can do halfway, but not the navigation. But for the user interface, most of you should be able to do the user interface that you want. So the coming one will be recycler view next week. We'll take 1 day to do recycler view, and after that we will start to do navigation, navigation between the screen. So this is week 6. Right, week 6 we have gone through about 1/3, more than 1/3 of the semester. And then the last 2 weeks of the semester will be presentation, project presentation. So please work on it according to the progress. You should be able to finish it on time for the semester. Okay, any question? Any more question for this today, the